Hello everybody, this is the Intrepid Global Citizen, and today's topic is 3 mistakes that tour cyclists might make when they're just starting out. So some of these mistakes I made as well, and I thought I'd share them with you so you can avoid them and make the most out of your tour cycling trip. The first mistake I made was hesitating for a long time. I knew I always wanted to take off on a bike somewhere in a faraway land, but I just hesitated and hesitated. And finally, I made the trip. I decided to buy a plane ticket to Uzbekistan in Tashkent, and I was going to originally just go by car and bus and travel around by public transportation, but then at the last minute, about a week before I left, I decided, hey, look, I'm going to the Pamir Highway, it's going to be beautiful, why don't I just take my bike along? So it was a spur of the moment decision, but I had no plans to actually do that until a week before. So I hesitated for a long time before that, and other trips to India and other places I would have liked to cycle in, but on that trip I said, okay, I'm going to do it. Why not just take the bike? So that's what I did. So my advice to you is don't hesitate. Even if you think you're not in shape or it's going to be hard, you just have to do it. My example was a pretty extreme case because the Pamir Highway is known to be one of the maybe a more difficult tour cycling destination. But anyway, I was able to just do it, and I made it through one way or another. So don't hesitate. I mean, you can choose a destination where it's not as mountainous if you're worried about your physical condition, or there are plenty of flat places in the world to travel that are more populated where you'll be able to find food, places to rest. You don't have to sleep outside all the time if you don't want to. You can do it any way you want. And also water is abundant and the people are very friendly, and it's also safe. So I'd say don't hesitate. Just find a place that you're interested in and do it. And that's the best way to get started. Just learn by doing. That's how I did it. The second thing is gear. So my advice is don't get paralyzed by thinking you need all the gear in the world to go on to enjoy your tour cycling trip. So when I first started, like I said, I just threw my bike in a box, and it was a hybrid bicycle with very thin tires, and I didn't even really know how to patch a tire. So I just bought a patch kit and went along my way and learned by doing. Of course, I had plenty of flat tires on the Pamir Highway. I didn't realize that it would be as bumpy as it was, and actually had to push my bike most of the time. So half of my trip was pushing my bike, and half of my trip was actually riding my bike due to flat tires. Sure, it would have been good to learn these things, but it's not necessary if you have time and you don't mind traveling slow. As far as gear goes, I didn't have any panniers. All I had was this backpack. As you can see, it's a bit worn here. I had this on my back during my first trip in the Pamir Highway. I didn't know what I was doing, admittedly, and my shoulders were a bit sore every night, but it was, nothing I couldn't handle, and I got through it. Also, I didn't have any GPS or anything like that, so I used this phone here, and I had a paper map taking me around, so I guess I could say I was a bit minimalist, and that's the way I like to travel. But so just so you know that you don't have to get paralyzed by thinking you need the best GPS systems or the best panniers or even the best bicycle. So my bike broke down quite a bit on that first trip, and I was still able to make it along. Locals were very helpful, and I met other tour cyclists there that could help me learn the ropes on maintenance and taking care of my bike. So hopefully that will persuade you not to get paralyzed by thinking that you need a lot of gear to enjoy your tour cycling trip. Just take any bike that you have. If you want to upgrade your bike, that's fine, but Anyway, it doesn't need to be, you don't need to go on a shopping spree before your trip. So the third thing is too much planning. So in a lot of the countries I've been to, things change all the time. When I went to Central Asia my first time, and I remember arriving in Dushanbe, the capital of Tajikistan, and I wasn't even sure if I could get a permit to cycle on the Pamir Highway. It was all up in the air. Sometimes they gave people permits to cycle the highway, but a few weeks prior, they were turning people down left and right. They said no, there was some sketchy behavior on the Pamir Highway or some political situation, and we couldn't go. Nobody could go. But it changed, luckily, when I was able to get the permit and able to cycle on at the place that I wanted to go to. But these things happen all the time, so you might think you have a route that you really want to go on, and you realize that, hey, there are some protests here, or maybe there's road construction that delays you quite a bit, or maybe the road is not as nice as you anticipated, or maybe there are a lot of headwinds and you can only travel for 30 kilometers at a time. That happened to me quite a bit in Mongolia, where the winds are very, very strong and the roads are pretty bad, and it slowed me down quite a bit. So you might look at the map and think, oh, this road I can travel about 70 kilometers per day on, but in reality it's less than half of that. So just be flexible and don't do too much planning. Just take things as they come, and patience is also a virtue when you are cycling. So I'd say too much planning. What kind of planning do I do for my trips? What I like to do is I like to read up on the country, about the culture. I check out other blogs. I read up on the history, and just to give myself a background on the place that I'm going to visit. And also try to learn the local language before I go as well. So that's very helpful. It helps me to connect with local people and establish relationships there that I still have to this day sometimes. So anyway, that's the type of planning that I do. And so these are the three mistakes. Once again, so hesitating, so don't hesitate. The second one is thinking you need too much gear. And the third is too much planning. So my advice to you is just do it. Be spontaneous if you like spontaneity. If you want to develop your patience, if you want to have a sense of adventure, then I hope you have a great time on your first tour cycling trip. So please subscribe if you like this. You can hit the bell to receive other videos. I'm the Intrepid Global Citizen. I'll be bringing videos to you once a week about global citizenship and sharing my stories on my trips to hopefully make the world a better place. So if you have any other mistakes or advice for tour cyclists, please leave a comment down there and let's have a discussion about this. Take care, stay strong, happy, and healthy always.